Boy, I bet you've been waiting for this hour to get here, folks, to find out what's really going on, to what to think about things, and how to feel about it. And your patience is about to be rewarded. Great to have you with us as always. It's a brand new week of broadcast excellence hosted by me, Rush Limbaugh, household name in all four corners of the world. It's a delight to have you here. Our telephone number, 800-282-2882. The email address, lrushmo@eibnet.us. It's going to be real interesting for me today to find out how many of you are mad at President Trump for his tweet and then the double down tweet on the 4 Democrat congresswomen. And I know some of you are going to be mad. I mean, the law of averages, some of you are going to be mad. But why did Trump do it? There's a bunch of theories going around theories, opinion going around about how badly Trump stepped in it here. One theory holds that the Democrats have this internecine war going on and that they're self-destructing. And you've got these young squad members taking shots at Pelosi, and that the Democrat Party is disunified and unraveling it, and Trump comes along and unifies them. Why did Trump have to do it? For crying out loud, when your enemy is self-destructing, the thing to do is to stand aside. Get out of the way and let it happen. How many of you think that was the case? The reason I ask is, it's true that the Democrat Party has got a circular firing squad going on, but I don't know how many people really know it. I know Wonkville knows it. I know all of the blogosphere and the media and all of them know it, but the Democrat media is not highlighting just how bad it is. I'm going to do that for you today. I'm going to tell you how bad it is. They are not reporting how bad it is. My point is, I don't know how many people, the general population, really know how bad the Democrat Party circular firing squad is, being led by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, aimed at Pelosi, that she's got her squad members joining fire with her. There's another train of thought or school of thought that says, Trump, why did you do it, for crying out loud? You just ignited the media. The media's turned on you. So if you are of that point of view, how many of you are really mad at the media and not Trump? Or, well, wrong way to put it. How many of you are upset because what Trump did seems to be lacking in understanding how the media would react, and are turning around and making him a target? Now, the reason I ask this, I'm going to refresh your memory with a story. Well, now, hang on. Look, I'm not through presenting options in there. My staff's already blowing up. Just hang on a minute. I can't do it all in the first 5 minutes. Remember that famous dinner party I had back during the John McCain, Sarah Palin days? And these two people showed up that were friends of people that had been invited. They themselves had not been invited, but they asked if they could bring a couple friends. And I said, it's not a good idea, but I relented because I'm a nice guy. And I am naive, tending toward optimists. They show up, and these two guys promptly started telling me how we had to throw Palin overboard. She's worthless. She's destroying us. We got to get rid of her. And I said, what? Why? Well, because the media's ripping her. We can't. I said, wait, you guys want the media to pick who our nominees are? You want the media to determine whether we're going to support somebody or not? Well, yeah, if the media's destroying her, what? Well, we can't defend her. We can't protect her. I said, so you basically want to turn over candidate selection, issue selection to the media. You want to be able to determine whether you're going to support something based on how badly or how little the media criticizes. Well, yeah, I mean, we can't overcome the media. So in the same vein, how many here you're really mad at Trump, but you're not mad at the substance. You're mad because Trump enabled the media, and you're sick and tired of the media doing what they're doing, and you wish Trump would stop feeding them this stuff. You don't really disagree with the substance of what he said. In fact, you may even agree with him. You're just saying, why the hell did you have to say it? Right? Okay, so that encompasses some of the staff on the other side of the glass. Well, I'm sorry, but if we haven't learned by now that trying to tailor what we think and what we do and what we don't do and what we don't say we think and what policies and issues we do or do not put forward because of the media's reaction to it, then we may as well surrender. We may as well just cave because the media is never going to be on our side. Look, let me, the news reporting is all over the place. Donald Trump racist tweets, Donald Trump xenophobic tweets, Donald Trump rotten, horrible scumbag, Donald Trump racist, Donald Trump blatant xenophobe. Donald Trump did not mention race once in these tweets. I know what you're saying. Russ, it doesn't matter. The media says he did, and that's all it... Well, look, if you're going to let the media get away with lying every time they report something, then there's nothing we can ever do or say. Trump did not mention race. Trump did not even mention color. Trump did not mention people of color. Trump did not tell anybody to go home. He said, go home and fix it and come back and show us how it's done. These are the people who are constantly threatening or offering to leave if they lose elections, and they never do leave. He told them to come back after they fixed the countries of their national origin, even though only one was not born in America. Of the four that Trump was targeting, three of them were born here. But it is obvious these women do not like this country. And if you don't understand that, just stand by, because I'm going to share with you some of the things these babes are saying and have been saying. And what? Are you telling me not to defend Trump? I'm not defending Trump. We're in the midst of another fake news cycle here. All I'm going to try to do is bring a little truth to it. It's all fake news, and it's really rooted in the fact when they can't deal with a Trump truth bomb, they go hysterically nuts. The never-Trumpers on our side fall right in line. And it's just like, it's almost a replay, not quite exact, but it's pretty close to when Trump came down the escalator at Trump Tower to announce his candidacy in June of 2015. Remember the reaction to that when he said we got too many rapists and purse snatchers and muggers and murderers coming in from Mexico? You can't say that. The bottom line is, folks, that whenever anybody of any stature on our side criticizes a Democrat, it's automatically racism. It's automatically xenophobia. It's automatically bigotry. It's automatically homophobia. It's automatically all the cliches. They don't even listen. I want to share with you the two Trump tweets. So interesting to see progressive Democrat congresswomen who originally came from countries whose governments are a complete and total catastrophe, the worst, most corrupt, inept anywhere in the world, if they even have a functioning government at all, now loudly and viciously telling the people of the United States, the greatest and most powerful nation on earth, how our government's to be run. Why don't they go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came? Then come back and show us how it's done. These places need your help badly. You can't leave fast enough. I'm sure that Nancy Pelosi would be very happy to quickly work out free travel arrangements. So in addition to confronting them on the substance of things, and if you're not aware, just hang on, because these women in question all hate Israel, number one. You want to talk about xenophobia and anti-this, and these people are anti-Semites in ways that define the term. It goes without saying these people don't like America. What have the last 2 to 3 weeks been all about? Hey, by the way, for those of you in New York, everybody's trying to figure out what happened to this power outage. Before I forget this, I need to tell you what this is really all about. The power outage in New York was engineered by supporters and forces allied with Jeffrey Epstein. They shut down the power in New York to distract everybody, to enable them to get into Epstein's house, into his safe, and remove all the incriminating data, the photos, the documents. and then get out of there while everybody else was focused elsewhere. After they had successfully stolen all the reclaimed the documents from Epstein's home on East 71st Street, they let enough time pass where everybody thought it was a Con Ed problem. They turned the lights back on while the Epstein people clearly had made it out of town. That was all over the internet over the weekend. You know where that's from? That's from 4chan and QAnon. I got you, didn't I? There are people who believe that was the case, that Epstein's behind this so that people could get in there and get all the evidence out of his house so that when the feds execute their search warrant, there won't be anything to find. The problem is the feds have already executed search warrants and have been in there. And there are fascinating questions about this Epstein guy that people are, I've had them for I don't know how long, and people start to ask us, where did this guy make his money? Because nobody that's in a hedge fund business has any idea that he's ever been involved in it. He doesn't trade stocks. He supposedly is an advisor and a consultant for billionaires only, makes trades on their behalf. Nobody can find any evidence of any of this. And if you do this for a living, everybody knows who you are. It's impossible to be running a hedge fund anonymously and invisibly. So now people are speculating, well, it must have been a Ponzi scheme. There's even, what the most popular theory to explain how Epstein got his money? He's running an extortion racket. Let's run through this one. Have you heard this, Mr. Snerdley? Here's how it works. Epstein invites all of these guys in. Powerful people, politicians, famous people all over the world, actors, you name it. And then videotapes them engaged in lewd activities with underage girls and holds on to video and advises them that he's got this video and is charging them billions of dollars in blackmail and extortion in order to remain quiet about it and that they pay it. This is a popular theory. I saw this over the week. There are a lot of people who think this is how Epstein got his money and has his money continually rolling in. If you stop and think about this for just a moment, if this were really going on for as long as Epstein has been a financial player, somebody would have ended this. Somebody would have tried to take him out. Somebody would have. The idea that these wealthy as sin people are going to keep paying this kind of money in an ongoing, never-ending blackmail scam, extortion racket. It's fascinating to read what people think about how Epstein or anybody acquires their money. Epstein's is very mysterious because nobody knows what he really did or does. And yet he's got 6 homes, a couple of private jets. The maintenance of these properties alone is incalculable. He's got this place down the Virgin Islands with this gigantic temple on it with a dome like the miniature Dome of the Rock, said to be a sex temple. What is it? Pedophile Island, Little Jeff's in the instead of St. John's, Little Jeff's in the Virgin Islands. Yeah, that's what he called it, Little Jeff's. You can only get there by boat. You got to land at St. Thomas and Charlotte Amalie, and then you got to anyway. That was the first Trump tweet. Now, let me go to the second Trump tweet. When he found out everybody was aghast and appalled, he doubled down. Next tweet, when will the radical left congresswomen apologize to our country, the people of Israel, and even to the office of the president for the foul language they've used and the terrible things they've said, Trump said. So many people are angry at them and their horrible and disgusting actions. In his initial attack on Sunday, Trump said congresswomen he did not name came from corrupt, poorly managed countries to which they should return. And it's like clockwork. Everybody reacts to this predictably and identically. No matter where you tune, no matter what publication you log into and read, Trump's a racist, Trump's a sexist, Trump's a misogynist, Trump's a bigot, Trump's a homophobe, Trump's a xenophobe, you name it. With nobody even taking the time, this is such a knee-jerk reaction, nobody even taking the time to, even if they're going to blow it to smithereens later, even if they're going to react to it, nobody even taking the time to seriously examine it or analyze it, just the knee-jerk reaction. And then that happens, and then Trump supporters start beating their heads against, why did he have to do it, for crying out loud? It's so frustrating. Because what you're tired of is the media ripping Trump. And you think that someday that's going to end. And I'm here to tell you it isn't going to end. And one way you could look at this is Trump being consistent and not changing. There's all kinds of people out there on our side. Oh, my God, Trump did the worst thing he could do. He's unified the Democrats. Folks, the Democrats are already unified against Trump. I don't care about this circular firing squad they've got going on. They're unified against Trump. When it comes to the 2020 election, there isn't going to be any circular firing squad. Now, there will be up until then, and who knows how much damage they're going to do to each other on the Democrat side in the interim. But they're always going to be unified against Trump. There's nothing that's going to bust up that unity. If people are living in fantasy land, if you think that something can be done, Trump could adopt a demeanor or behavior that might have some Democrats actually turn out to support him in 2020. Come on, folks. That's simply not going to happen. Let me take a brief time out here as we're off and running on the EIB network. Now, what we have coming up today, sound bites to support all of this. I'm going to go through the detail here of the internecine battle going on in the Democrat Party between Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and her squad and the rest of the party leadership, because I don't think people really have been told by the drive-by media the extent of it. Also, folks, on the Stand Up for Betsy Ross T-shirt, I don't know how to describe this because we're not yet ready to announce any numbers, but we're now up to 170 knockoffs. 170, and the legal team is continually batting them down. 170 different websites attempting to fool people into believing that the official Stand Up for Betsy Ross T-shirt from RushLimbaugh.com is available on their website. It isn't. It's only available one place. The charity tie-in, Tunnel to Towers, is only available one place. By the way, we're going to be fulfilling these all week. We're not even close. I need to beg your attention. We're not even close. We fulfill these ourselves. We've got our own warehouse, and we do this in-house. And it's going to take us a while. There are so many. We've had 4 reorders, maybe 5 by now. The number of T-shirts, I'd love to give you a number, but we're not finished yet. We're going to keep this going, obviously. I can't give you the numbers. We've decided to hold back on the numbers for a while, so
he didn't.
On the cutting edge of societal evolution, Rush Limbaugh behind the golden EIB microphone. At the very least, what you can say is that Donald Trump is helping define the Democrat Party. And in that sense, what Trump is doing here, and whether this is an intended consequence or not, the fact is that Trump is pushing the Democrats and the drive-bys into staunchly defending the most radical haters this country has at the moment. These people, and it's not just these 4 women in the squad, just the entire Democrat Party. Trump is forcing them to come out and defend. And make no mistake about the fact the American people are fully aware of what's going on the Democrat side regarding their anti-Americanism. Let me take another brief, quick break. Back here in a sec. Right on. Welcome back. Rush Limbaugh in a great mood. Happy to be with you in a brand new week of broadcast excellence. I have a really nifty alternative theory of what Trump is doing here. And I'm going to share it with you in mere moments. I first, however, want to share with you Lindsey Grahamnesty's tweets. Lindsey Grahamnesty was on Fox this morning. Let me check the audio sound. Hang on just a second here, folks. Because I've got the sound bites here, we'll use them. If not, no big deal. You don't have to go get them. If we're not here, that's not... Okay, we don't have them. Great. I'll read them to you. Lindsey Graham today. Would you hit my off button in there for... Thank you very much. Lindsey Graham today. We all know that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and this crowd are a bunch of communists. They hate Israel. They hate our own country. They're calling the guards along our border, the Border Patrol agents, concentration camp guards. They accuse people who support Israel as doing it for the Benjamins, meaning for the money. They are anti-Semitic. They are anti-America. We don't need to know anything about them personally. Talk about their policies. I think they're American citizens who are duly elected that are running on an agenda that is disgusting, that the American people will reject. That Lindsey Graham was urging Trump not to make this personal, that was his way of supporting it while distancing himself from it. Don't go after him personally. Lindsey Graham was saying it never works. What does it mean for America to have free health care for illegal immigrants? No criminalization of coming into our country. See how that works for controlling immigration. They talk about Israel like they're a bunch of thugs, not victims of the entire region. They wanted to impeach President Trump on day one. Make them the face of the future of the Democrat Party, and you will destroy the Democrat Party. Their policies will destroy our country. That's Lindsey Graham today. And he's exactly right. And I think there are more people aware of this than anybody in the drive-by media would ever contemplate. I think for as long as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has been on the scene, and even before that, I think there are so many millions of Americans who are fed up with the anti-American diatribe that has become readily identified with Democrat Party policy. It is anti-American. It's anti-American founding. It's anti-American exceptionalism. It's anti-American greatness. For crying out loud, Jay Inslee, who is the former governor of the state of Washington, you know what he said over the weekend? He promised, just to show you how infantile these people are, in a lame attempt to get noticed and capitalize off of a pop culture brief miniature moment, Jay Inslee promised to interview Megan Rapinoe as his Secretary of State if he's a Democrat nominee. Now, I'm here to tell you, a woman in purple hair running around wanting to represent America and doing so and winning the World Cup and then taking every opportunity to make herself out to be some gigantic victim of this country because she's gay. And then to run around and say before she was even invited that she wouldn't go to the White House because Trump doesn't like people like her. Trump doesn't make people like her feel good. Trump has never said a thing about gay people. He doesn't care. It's not part of his daily existence. That's not how he sees people. He's never said a word about it, but yet there she is, putting words in his mouth, putting thoughts in his mouth, trashing the country, acting like she's some never-ending gigantic victim. And here comes some Democrat lame nominee that will never see the nominee. I'm going to make her my Secretary of State. I think she may have what it takes. Now, I'm telling you, when people see this, and even if they don't hear what Inslee said, just the fact, I can tell you that this Stand Up for Betsy Ross T-shirt, this is... I'm so hamstrung because we've made a decision not to announce any numbers here because we're not finished. We've gotten, well, let me just tell you, if this is any sign of how irritated the people of this country are, then it is huge out there. And I think Lindsey Graham's exactly right. These people operate every day with the approval of the mainstream media. These people believe their own polls, where Hillary's going to win in a landslide, or whoever the Democrat this year is going to win in a landslide, 2020. They believe this stuff. So here comes Megan Rapinoe or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or any of these other people, and the media loves them, and they treat them with kid gloves, and they make them big-time stars, and these people end up believing their own press, and they are not aware of how much animus they are creating for themselves because they live in this alternative reality where people unlike them are a relative few and a minority and don't deserve to be dealt with, counted, talked to. They despise us. They hate us. They think they're the majority. They think all of America agrees with them except for some rare exceptions, and it's the other way around. The major sentiment in this country is not anti-America. The primary sentiment here is not anti-Constitution. The primary sentiment is not that America sucks. The primary sentiment is that American citizens are not victims of a bigoted government. That is not the majority of opinion in this country by the people who make it work. And yet these people, because of the fawning media coverage they get, end up having this anti-American stuff applauded, validated. They end up thinking they're big stars. They end up thinking they're in the majority. And when they fade away because nobody has ever cared in the first place, they're left dumbstruck. They do not represent the majority of thinking. The fact of the matter is, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and her squad members, they are communists. They hate Israel. They do not like the United States. And everybody paying attention to them knows this. They think they're winning big-time friends. They think they're creating a majority talking like this. This is going to be adapted to my upcoming theory here, so hang on. We're not running concentration camps. I've got a great soundbite coming up. Thomas Homan literally wiping the floor with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez when she tries to impugn him for separating families at the border. He makes it obvious she doesn't know diddly squat about what anybody at the border does. You may have seen it or heard about it, but it's coming up here in just a moment to back all of this up. Calling the people at the border concentration camp guards? Saying people who support Israel do it for the Benjamins? I guess that's trying to be hip. Concentration camp. You think the American people hear this and just slough it off? They are not sloughing it off. Graham again, they're anti-Semitic, they're anti-America. We don't need to know anything about them personally, talk about their policies. What does it mean for America to have free health care for illegals? Do you think this just happens in a vacuum? In a Democrat debate, how many of you believe free health care for illegal Americans? 20 hands go up. You think the American people just watch this and chuckle and slough it off? No, they actively oppose it, and they're motivated and inspired to stand up against it and oppose it. And yet the Democrats, in a lunacy type way, think they're building a majority with this kind of thing. The disconnect and the out of touch divide is something I've never seen in my life. I mean, remember the 60s? Radical leftists were bombing college campuses and businesses and banks. Times have changed, but the radicals haven't. Their targets have changed. Their targets have expanded. Instead of bombing colleges and banks, they're now taking down the American flag. And they're hoisting the flag of their home countries. Do you think people don't notice this? Other radicals are calling themselves Antifa. They are, in fact, violent fascists. Others lie about detention centers, concentration camps. You think Trump notices any of this? I know you notice it, and I know it irritates the heck out of you. Inslee is the current governor. Well, too bad for them. Did I say former? Okay, stand corrected. So here is an alternative theory for what Trump is actually doing. The prevailing opinion is that Trump screwed up here because the Democrats are having this internecine battle, a circular firing squad led by Cortez and her squad, aiming for Pelosi and others in the Democrat leadership. And this has led people to believe that the Democrat Party is not unified. And I'm here to tell you that they may not be unified now, but when it comes time to get into gear on the 2020 election, they're going to be unified because they all hate Trump. They will at least be unified in that regard. I don't expect that the battle for power in the Democrat Party is going to subside. I don't think it's going to fade away, but it will take second place to the presidential election. They're going to be unified. But I think Trump may have seen it differently. And here is the alternative theory for you to chew on. I think Trump, and maybe some of his advisors in the White House, are looking at this rift developing between Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, her squad, and Pelosi. And again, look, I'm not trying to tease you here, but I've got a whole stack of things to bring you up to speed to let you know just how bad it is. Because I know the drive-bys are not reporting the dire details of this split. And some of it's hilarious. I think Trump sees it as dangerous. I think Trump, he's out there defending Pelosi. Now stop and think about that for a minute. He's defending Pelosi. He's known Pelosi a long time. She's not a racist. Cortez and her gang are accusing Pelosi even of being a racist because they think she's attacking them. And they are women of color. So it automatically makes, in their crazy worldview, Pelosi a racist as well. So I think Trump sees this rift developing between Pelosi and the Democrat leadership and these new communists on the left, led by Cortez. And I think he wants them back together again. I don't think Trump likes the rift. I think Trump wants the Democrat Party to become known as the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez Green New Deal Socialism Party. I think he wants to hang that label around all of them. And for that to happen, they have to be unified. In other words, Trump wants Pelosi and the Democrat leadership to adopt the socialism and communism of Cortez and her squad and whoever else in her little movement is pushing it. That's what Trump wants, because that can't lose. Trump cannot lose running against the Democrat Party, which is openly socialist, openly communist, led by young, aspiring anti-Americans. I don't think he likes the rift. I think he wanted to mend the rift. He wanted them put back together again because he's salivating running against the Democrat Party as a modern-day communist party or socialism party in America. So he tweets what he tweets, and the results were totally predictable. And now the Democrats claim that their rift has been healed. And they're out there claiming Trump has unified the Democrats. Trump really screwed up, they say. He really unified the Democrats. Well, what if that's exactly what Trump wanted, with the unification being that Cortez and her squad will now define what the Democrat Party is? Put that in a hopper and think about it.
In every corner of this world.
We do have Lindsey Graham. I missed it when I was racing through here. It's audio soundbite number 14. He was on Fox and Friends today with Ainsley Earhart. Questioned a lot of election polls that if the election were tomorrow, the president would not win. What does he need to ensure to have a win?
Make sure it's not tomorrow. No, he's going to win. If he'll just, Mr. President, you're going to win. Just knock it down a notch.
In what way?
Well, we all know that AOC and this crowd are a bunch of communists. They hate Israel. They hate our own country. They're calling the guards along our border, the Border Patrol agents, concentration camp guards. They accuse people who support Israel of doing it for the Benjamins. They're anti-Semitic. They're anti-America. Don't get down. Aim higher. We don't need to know anything about them personally. Talk about their policies. I think they're American citizens who are duly elected that are running on an agenda that is disgusting, that the American people will reject.
So that's Lindsey Graham. That's how he said it. Those are the things that I actually read moments ago. Wanted you to hear it in the horse's mouth. Now get started on the phones. Inglewood, New Jersey. Stacy, you're up first. It's great to have you with us today. Hi.
Hi, Rush. It's such an honor to speak with you. As a Jewish American and as a legal immigrant American, I actually had the opposite reaction from all the Republican elites. When I read that tweet from Trump, I cheered. I thought, wow, that's exactly what I've been saying, what I've been thinking, what my family's been saying to each other. And these people in the squad, they truly are anti-American. They're anti-Israel. They're anti-Semitic, as you said. And Trump is actually in touch with what most Americans are feeling when they hear the squad go off in their, anti-American. That's the way I feel. I feel like they don't love it here. They want to change it. They want to turn it into one of these third world countries. And I just wanted to let you know my reaction.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. Let's keep track of what is racist. as far as the Democrats are concerned. The Betsy Ross flag is so bad. It's so racist that Nike had to get rid of the shoe with the flag on it. The current American flag, that's racist. The national anthem is racist. Yeah, we have to kneel and we can't respect it. Joe Biden, he's a racist because he once did business with a couple of segregation. Pelosi is a new racist now, according to Cortez and the Squad. Having borders is racism. Having citizenship is a racist concept. We need to erase citizenship and replace it with residency. People who enforce immigration law, they're not just racists. They now run concentration camps. They are concentration camp guards. White people who are not Democrats are automatically racist. Anybody who is not pro-reparations is racist. Anybody who criticizes or disagrees with a non-white Democrat is racist. Any Republican running for elective office is a racist, automatically, according to the media and the Democrat Party today. Any nominee for the Supreme Court nominated by a Republican president is a racist. This is what we have to put up with every time one of these kinds of events happens. This is the reaction that we get from the media, echoing comments and amplifying them by other Democrats who are making news. And I'm telling you, people are fed up with it. I got to take another break. Time flies. Back in just a moment, folks. Hang on. President Trump is tripling down on this at the White House right now. Tripling down on it. We will have audio after we get back from the top of the hour break. We've got some manufacturing press conference going on, or ceremony, to announce the improvement there. But he's tripling down on these people. Back in a moment. Greetings, welcome back. Great to have you. Classic Trump at the White House moments ago. We're rolling the audio off and we'll have it ASAP. And he was being cheered by the audience. The only people not cheering were the drive-by media reporters who were there. And he made the point, there's no racism in these tweets. I didn't say a thing about that. These people hate America. Now, Ilhan Omar and some of these others that are in the squad, what their defense is, we do not hate America. We are trying to improve America. We're trying to perfect America. Which is an absolute crock. In the case of Ilhan Omar, she's from Somalia. She hates Jews. She hates Israel. The United States, in her world, is the number one enabler of Israel. She despises Israel. Therefore, we have a big problem. The United States has a big problem. But none of these people on the left, they cover for themselves by saying, we don't hate America. We are trying to improve America for everybody. We're a gigantic melting pot. There's nobody native to America. They are distorting the entire concept of what it means to be an American. They want people to think that's why they don't want any borders. Anybody who gets here is an American. Because you see, Americanship or American citizenship, the concept of being an American is not related to being an American at all. It's related to residency. If you're here, you're an American. You can be a communist American. You can be a totalitarian socialist American. That's not what America is. America is not socialist. America is not communist. America is not totalitarian. America is entirely exceptional to every other system of government that there has ever been devised by human beings. They're trying to tear that down. And they call that perfecting the country. They call that correcting America's mistakes. They hide behind slavery, women not being able to vote, as though they're still happening. As though since they existed once, that's what America really is. America hasn't changed. America's still a country for white supremacists and white racists. It's a crock. It's offensive. And people have had their fill of it. So they come along and they say, America needs to be improved. America needs to be perfected. What they're trying to do is water down the definition of an American. These people are not interested in assimilating. They're not interested in learning what the American culture is. In other words, they're not really curious to find out why they want to be here. They just want to come here, take advantage of what they think the economic opportunities are. But their real problem is that they have a problem with America because the American people are too free. The American people have too much liberty and too much say-so over their own lives. And if you come here and think that's a problem, there's no way you can be an American. If you think that the problem in America is too much freedom, too much liberty, not a big enough government, then you're not an American. You're nowhere close to being an American. But they want to be able to say you're an American simply if you're here. Blow up the whole concept of citizenship. Blow up what it means to be an American and replace it with geography. If you're in America, you're an American. And the left is on this tear to bring this change off, to pull this change off. It's really insidious, if you ask me. You go back to the earlier days of legal immigration. People came here wanting to become Americans. They came here and they assimilated. They held on to their original nationality, of course, lived in the same neighborhoods, but they wanted to become Americans. They wanted to know what that meant, because they wanted to be part of it. They were fleeing oppression. They were fleeing poverty and sickness. They were fleeing tyranny. They wanted the exact opposite. The people we're talking about here who claim to want to fix America's imperfections are essentially trying to implement the same things earlier immigrants fled, under the premise that America is flawed by the very virtue of its founding. It's what's been going on for the last 50 years. Some of it very subtly, very quietly in classrooms where indoctrination takes place, some of it out in the open, but it's never been as out in the open as it is now. And here is Donald Trump calling them out like no one has before. It's almost a replay, as I said in the last hour, of Trump coming down the escalator on June 15th, 2015. It's almost an exact replay of that. He's tripling down on it today after doubling down on it Sunday after originating it on Saturday. And he's making it clear as a bell in a little clip that I saw during the top of the hour. He said, look, there's no question. These people hate this country. They don't like this country. And that is really all you have to say, because it resonates, because it is true. Grab sound bites number 4 and 5. I want to share this with you. I mentioned earlier in the program there was a hearing at the House Oversight and Reform Committee on child separation policy at the U.S.-Mexico border on Friday, and one of the witnesses was the former acting Immigration and Customs Enforcement Director, Thomas Homan, who is the epitome of a patriot. This guy has been defending ICE ever since people like Cortez and her squad began to defame it. He's a fixture on Fox News, and he pulls no punches. He loves this country. He very much appreciates his old job and the people who do it now. And he is resentful as he can be that he and his Border Patrol agents are now being compared to concentration camp guards, that they eagerly and excitedly separate children from their parents because that's what America does. That's one of the flaws. America needs to be fixed. Americans separate children from their families. What an absolute crock. If you really think that, then you must hate this country. That's not the policy. We're not evil and devious in that way. Plus, we're talking about people illegally here. We're talking about people illegally seeking asylum. So it was time for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to do what she thought was going to humiliate and embarrass Thomas Homan. She says, you provided the official recommendations to Secretary Nielsen for the United States to pursue family separation?
I gave Secretary Nielsen numerous recommendations on how to secure the border and save lives.
But it says here that you gave her numerous options, but the recommendation was option 3, family separation.
What I'm saying, this is not the only paper where we've given the Secretary numerous options to secure the border and save lives.
And so the recommendation, of the many that you recommended family separation.
I recommended zero tolerance.
Which includes family separation.
The same as is with every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested when they're with a child.
What do you mean? Well, if you're driving along and you've got your crumb cruncher in the car and you're arrested for speeding or mowing something down, guess what happens? You get separated from your kid after you get arrested. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, not quite sure what to make of this. She kept plodding.
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father
Mr.
from his
Holman, with
family.
all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're into the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, you go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Didn't even raise his voice. He didn't come out of his seat, didn't do this. There were a couple times in the hearing where he did, but it was an icy illustration of the absolute phony concoction of a phony issue. You see, now, this is something that Cortez and her squad don't get about America. And I know she's an American, but, folks, she's not. She's an American by virtue of the fact she was born here, but she's not an American. She believes America's flawed. She believes in a gigantic socialist-type government as compared to other people. It's really not complicated. When you have people like this, or any of the Hollywood elite, or any of the drive-by media, start accusing the Trump administration of separating children and putting them in cages. You may disagree with me on this, but I'm here to tell you the majority of Americans know, because they know their country and they know Trump. They know that isn't true. That's not what we do. That's not who we are. We do not put kids in cages. That does not happen in this country. We do not separate families for the fun of it. The majority of the American people know that we're being overrun. There is an invasion of people attempting to get into this country illegally. It is they who are at fault, not us, not ICE, not the Border Patrol. A vast majority of American citizens know this, despite the efforts of the media to portray America as something that it isn't, and Trump as something that he isn't, and his administration as something that it isn't. It's not what we do. What they're trying to make people believe is that we do this all of a sudden, and it is brand new, and it's because Trump hates people. And then they flash the pictures all along of kids in cages, and they put old pictures from the Obama administration, say that they're current pictures. They never report that this kind of thing happened in identical circumstances with the Obama administration and the Bush administration, because this has been the policy of this country for years. Fake asylum seeking is new because it's a way around getting into the country illegally. This is a political operation. The storming of our border is a political operation organized and executed, funded by people in the United States for the express purpose of undermining the United States. President Trump knows it and is calling all of these people out on it. And that you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to openly disagree with the policies of minorities, the stated opinions of minorities, or women. That's racism, that's sexism. Automatically, in their book, you can't do it. Trump is undeterred, doesn't care. He's highlighting, by virtue of all this, who these people really are. The one thing that you can't do, you cannot convince a majority of Americans that we are this evil, mean-spirited, anti-child country. There's no evidence. I mean, it's absurd that the effort these people are making to present this country in as poor and as bad a light as possible is what is offensive to countless millions. The fact that they are doing it alone is noticeable and is causing all kinds of people to react negatively to it. Rather than be succumbed into believing it, it's having the exact opposite effect. There's not a majority of Americans who thinks now that we are putting kids in cages. There's not a majority of Americans who think that Trump is mean-spirited and hateful and was trying to do everything he can to punish these people. This is what the left wants you to think of your own country. This is the picture they're trying to paint. They're not trying to paint a picture of a loving, compassionate country because in their world only they have love and only they have compassion, and there can't be any of either when they aren't in power. That's why everybody who's in power that's not a Democrat, not a leftist, has no compassion, has no love, is filled with hate and bigotry. That's the picture they paint, and people are fed up with it. They're tired of seeing the flag disrespected, the national anthem disrespected. They're tired of this new definition of patriotism, meaning a willingness to think your country sucks. They're sick of it all. Donald Trump's not wrong to call these people out on it. Brief time out with more coming right after this, folks. Don't go away. I'm going to head back to the phones real quickly. Rush Limbaugh serving humanity simply by showing up. Here's Daryl in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Great to have you, sir. Hi.
It's a pleasure to speak with you. I just wanted to lend support to your theory as to why Trump uniting the Dems around AOC and Ilhan Omar is sound political strategy. There was an internal Democratic poll of swing voters. Axios published a story on this.
I have that poll right here in my formerly nicotine-stained fingers. It's fascinating, is it not?
Yes, indeed. Basically, AOC comes across as the most recognizable Democrat among swing voters. She only has a 22% favorability rating. Omar, only 9%. Socialism, only 18%. The interesting thing also is that this poll came out in May before Pelosi went on her assault, and I think Trump probably sensed Pelosi's strategy, which was to disassociate the party from AOC and her crew, particularly in swing House districts. And what Trump is doing is basically putting them all together again.
Exactly right. I think that is right on the money. Now, let me give you the details of this poll because Daryl ran through this rather briefly. That deserves some, not his fault. I mean, he knows caller time here is limited. It's an internal poll. Axios got it. This is not a public poll. This is one of these internal polls, private poll, just for the Democrats. It has leaked out that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is the most recognizable Democrat in America among swing voters. When you see that, and you are a Republican consultant or you're Donald Trump, you want to use that. You want to amplify that. You want Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to have free reign to be who she is. By the way, in these tweets, you know that Trump never even mentioned a name? He didn't mention Cortez. He didn't mention Ilhan Omar. And look at everybody knows who he's talking about. How is that? He never even mentioned a name. And they all know who he means. Rick Moran has the story here from PJ Media. Says, all I can say is Trump should probably start planning the 2020 inaugural parade. Who defines the Democrat Party for millions of so-called swing voters? Those are the voters that everybody says they have to get to win. You know, these precious independents. Well, one name dominates when asking swing voters who it is that defines a Democrat Party. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Axios got hold of the poll. It's being circulated privately by Democrats, is scaring the bejeebies out of many of them. It says the exact opposite of what all these polls out there today saying that Biden beats Trump, Pocahontas beats Trump, Crazy Bernie beats Trump. This poll says the exact opposite. The Democrats are sounding the alarm that swing voters know and dislike socialism, warning it could cost them the House and the presidency. Pelosi knows this. This is why she's trying to tamp them down. It's why she's trying to tamp down their demand for impeachment. She's trying to marginalize them. The poll is making the rounds of some of the most influential Democrats in America. If all voters hear about is AOC, it could put the House majority at risk, said a top Democrat who is involved in 2020 congressional races. Now, stop and think about that. They won the House the 2018 midterms. If all voters hear about, swing voters, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they could lose. If she becomes the face of the Democrat Party, they not only lose the presidency, they might lose the House. We're talking here white, non-college voters who embraced Trump in 2016 but are needed by Democrats in swing House districts. The group that took the poll shared the results with Axios on the condition it would not be named, so we don't know who the polling unit is. Here are the basic findings. Ocasio-Cortez recognized by 74% of voters in the poll, 22% had a favorable view. Ilhan Omar, Minnesota, another member of the Cortez squad, recognized by 53% of the voters, 9% have a favorable view of Ilhan Omar. Socialism was viewed favorably by 18% of the voters, unfavorably by 69% of the voters. Capitalism, 56% favorable, 32% unfavorable. Top Democrat says in the poll says that socialism is toxic to these swing voters. So, the poll is from May. Here comes Trump doing what he's doing. Makes all the sense in the world that Trump is attempting to unify the Democrats and make Cortez and the squad the modern-day face. All of this is why we have continued the Stand Up for Betsy Ross T-shirt sale that is going on at rushlimbaugh.com. This is the opportunity for people to push back against all of this. Of course, it's specifically related to people criticizing Betsy Ross and the flag and Nike dumping the shoes because of Kaepernick. But it got energized further with Megan Rapinoe coming out after winning the World Cup, trashing the United States and trashing Trump as saying it's not a good place, that she's not welcome. People like her, not welcome. He doesn't like people like her. He probably didn't even know who she is before any of this. Certainly has never said so. We're up to 170 knockoffs. We're in the process of fulfilling this massive number of orders for these shirts. We continue to remanufacture. Trucks continue to show up at our warehouse to restock. And we are working as hard as we can to fulfill all these orders. We have prided ourselves in all of our previous gigantic big promotions at getting same-day fulfillment out. We are just racing to get this stuff fulfilled. So be patient if you have ordered one or more of these shirts. And because of this, we've decided to keep it up and running. We got to knock down the knockoffs anyway, because 170 different websites have attempted to get in on this and pass off their cheap knockoff version of our shirt as a legitimate shirt, licensed and authorized by me, but it isn't. There's only one real one. There's only one charitable tie, the Tunnel of Towers Foundation, and that is at rushlimbaugh.com. Here we have the Trump sound bites from near the top of the hour, 40 minutes ago. Trump hosting the third annual Made in America product showcase. And this was a massively successful event, once again highlighting the upward trends of the U.S. economy and the Made in America product showcase. And he tripled down on these comments about members of Congress he didn't even name. Do you realize this? He didn't mention Ocasio-Cortez or Ilhan Omar. It's just everybody knew who he meant. So he tripled down on it. He was getting ovations and cheers from the crowd today. The only people making negative noises were the drive-by media. Here's the first bite.
They're not happy here. They can leave. They can leave. And you know what? I'm sure that there'll be many people that won't miss them. But they have to love our country. They're Congress people. And I never used any names. But these are people, quiet. These are people that if they don't like it here, they can leave. And I'd be I don't know who's going to miss him, but I guess some people will. One of them is polling at 8%. One of them is polling at 8%. So when I hear people speaking about how wonderful Al-Qaeda is, when I hear people talking about some people with the World Trade Center, some people, no, not some people, much more than some people. When I hear the statements that they've made, and in one case you have somebody that comes from Somalia, which is a failed government, a failed state, who left Somalia, who ultimately came here, and now is a congresswoman who's never happy, says horrible things about Israel, hates Jews. It's very simple.
Right. The Democrat Party now has an anti-Semitic problem as well as everything else. Grab soundbite number 28. Here is Ilhan Omar, March 24th of this year in Los Angeles at a fundraiser for the Committee for Activism. It's the CARE. I forget what the acronym stands for, but it's the pro-Muslim Brotherhood organization in Los Angeles in America. And here's what she said.
CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
It's the Council on Arab-Islamic Relations, that's what it is. But this is outrageous. If you want to be bothered by it, there's plenty to be bothered by here. If you don't want to be bothered by, there's still quite a lot to deduce. CARE, it's an event honoring the Council on Arab-Islamic Relations. CARE was founded after 9/11 because CARE recognized that some people did something. And that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties. So her complaint is that we started the Department of Homeland Security after 9/11 and we're attempting now to make sure terrorism does not strike in our country again. And to her, that is losing access to civil liberties. 9/11, some people did something. That's what Trump is referring to. Here is the next Trump bite from about 40 minutes ago.
And if the Democrats want to wrap their bows around this group of 4 people, one of them kept Amazon out of New York, tens of thousands of jobs, would have been a great thing. And she kept Amazon from going, would have been a good deal. I mean, could have made better maybe, but tens of thousands of jobs. And New York has not been the same since that happened. It's really hurt New York and New York City. Amazon was going to go. They were going to relocate a major section of their business in New York. She kept them out. That was a terrible thing she did. A terrible thing she did.
He was on fire today, folks, tripling down.
I watched Lindsey Graham today on Fox and Friends talking about the same subject, and frankly, even stronger than what I'm saying. He said they're communists. I'm saying that they're socialists, definitely. As to whether or not they're communists, I would think they might be. But this isn't what our country is about. Nevertheless, they're free to leave if they want. And if they want to leave, that's fine. And if they want to stay, that's fine. But the people have to know. And politicians can't be afraid to take them on. A politician that hears somebody where we're at war with Al-Qaeda and sees somebody talking about how great Al-Qaeda is, pick out her statement. That was Omar. How great Al-Qaeda is. When you hear that, and we're losing great soldiers to Al-Qaeda, when you see the World Trade Center gets knocked down, and you see the statements made about the World Trade Center, all the death and destruction, I'll tell you what, I'm not happy with them. And it's very easy to be say, oh, gee, well, it's okay. If weak politicians want to say, and the Democrats in this case, if they want to gear their wagons around these 4 people, I think they're going to have a very tough election because I don't think the people of the United States will stand for it.
And right there, he's attempting to actually make that happen. He wants Pelosi to be forced to accommodate these people. He wants them to become the face of the Democrat Party. And he's going to force Pelosi to take action diminishing them, relegating them to outsiders. She's got to do something or else let this happen. The worst thing in the world. Remember this Axios story with the poll from the polling data that doesn't want anybody to know who they are? Internal Democrat poll. She's at 9% approval. Cortez at 22% approval among swing voters. Neither of these people are liked. They are not approved of. Socialism is roundly disapproved in this poll. Trump obviously is attempting to have these people become the face of the Democrat Party. It's a brilliant political move, what he's doing here. And it's being met with the typical small-minded, knee-jerk reaction. Trump's a racist. Trump's a bigot. Trump's a misogynist. He didn't even mention race. He didn't even mention their names until the White House triple-down ceremony today. But, folks, what really is going on here from the Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, from this squad business, and it's not just them. I kind of stumbled through this earlier, and I want to take another stab at what this is. These people are claiming they love America, but they are very disturbed by its imperfections. Like Omar saying, yes, some people did something on 9/11, and now we're losing our civil liberties. So she wants you to believe that she loves America, and she loves liberty and freedom, and she's very distressed that the Homeland Security Department was created and is violating people's civil liberties. The civil liberties that are being violated happen to be Al-Qaeda and Taliban terrorism. Those are the civil liberties being violated in other parts of the country in an effort to identify them and prevent them from hitting another building or having another attack. But what these people and the Democrat Party at large, it's not just these four. There are radicals throughout this party, and they're trying to redefine America under the premise that our founding was flawed, forever unfixably flawed. Slavery, women didn't have the right to vote, any number of other complaints that they have. Since America was founded with those events can't be erased and they can't be fixed. In their world, America is inexorably and forever flawed and thus deserves to be transformed. America needs to be remade. America needs to be fixed. They're trying to tell you that they want to do this because of their love for the country and their desire to eliminate these things from the past, but they can never be eliminated. They can never be forgotten. The fact of the matter is, we're one of the first countries in the world to fix it, to get rid of slavery. We overcame it. The Constitution provided the roadmap, if you will. Founders knew what they had to do to get the 13 colonies signed on to revolt against the king. Women not being able to vote was a cultural thing, also needed to be overcome. Constitution provided a roadmap for that. America is probably the most it is the most citizen and human rights friendly country there has ever been, and these people want to tear it down. And one of the means of doing this is to obliterate the concept of citizenship. They want to replace it with the concept of residency. If you're here, you're an American. If you're here. Now, the old saw is, well, if you're born here, you're automatically an American. But you also get educated. You learn what America was from the very beginning. You learn the greatness, the exceptionalism. Theoretically, you're taught how America is different from other nations of the world. You're taught why everybody in the world wants to come here. They want to wipe all of that out. America was never great. America was never exceptional. America was never worth that reputation, and America doesn't deserve to be a superpower. America is an oppressor nation. America exists because it stole from other people in other countries around the world. America is flawed. America is unjust and immoral. That's their belief. So to constitute this new country, you do it with residency. You just get as many people here as you can who don't understand capitalism, free enterprise, do not understand self-reliance. You get people here who are incapable of taking care of themselves. You force the government to do it, force taxpayers to pay for it. You change the basic moral foundation of the country. So there is no concept of American anymore other than a geographical location. That's what they want to obliterate. That's what Cortez is ultimately about. Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, all of these people and more. This is what they're about, is obliterating and eliminating the vestiges of America as founded under the premise it's unjust and immoral and needs to be replaced and fixed with a gigantic new loving government of compassionate socialism and communism where there's no pain, there's no suffering, there's no humiliation, there's no bullying, there are no hurt feelings, and everybody's the same. And this is what we are facing. This is the battle that we are in going forward. This silent coup that was run, to try to get rid of Donald Trump, is related to all of this. But that's what the battle is. And they are joined by globalists around the world who themselves want to obliterate the notion of citizenship. How can there be citizens when there are no borders? How can there be citizens when there is simply a global community? What we will have is residents of that geographic area and that geographic area. But we're not going to have Brits anymore. We're not going to have Americans anymore. We're not going to have Mexicans. We're not going to have Spaniards. We're just going to have people who live in Spain, people who live in America, but it's all going to be unified under a new global elite. This is the dream. And for this to happen, America has to be destroyed as a superpower. America has to be taken down. America has to be weakened. And they've figured that the fastest way to do this is to bankrupt us. And the way to bankrupt us is to create the most gigantic welfare state that cannot be afforded, that would not be supported. The Democrat debate, every one of those 20 people over the 2 nights, do you support free health care for illegals? Every damn one of them raised their hands. How do we afford that? And then in the same debate, Bernie Sanders says, well, if you're in the middle class, your taxes are going to go up to pay for your health care. So you got to pay for yours, and you got to pay for anybody that gets in the country illegally. We can't do that. There isn't the money for it. We couldn't print enough money to do it. By design, it's meant to cause an implosion. It's meant to cause an implosion of the United States as founded. When after that implosion happens, they will gleefully point, see, America was never great. America was never special. America was forever flawed, and this was just long overdue in happening. That's the dream they have. That's what Trump is singling out. Got to take a break. We'll be back with more in a minute.
You're listening to
I have been asked by the president and manager of the RushLimbaugh.com store that if you log on to purchase a Betsy Ross, Stand Up for Betsy Ross t-shirt, if the size you want is said to be out of stock, it's temporary. Come back whenever you want. We're in the process of restocking. I would give you I'm just dying to tell you how successful this has been, but it's not over yet. But let me give you an example. Every Super Bowl champion, there's a T-shirt made. And on average, they sell 50,000 of those shirts, and it takes them 3 months. We are so far beyond that you would not believe it. I mean, this is a story. The drive-by media is purposefully ignoring this. Jeff Lord at Newsbusters had a great piece on this over the weekend about how the media is ignoring the story here that represents worldwide, nationwide pushback against the left and Nike and the whole concept of dissing the flag. The media is totally ignoring this, and they will continue to ignore it. But Jeff Lord's story was slanted to what does this mean for electoral politics in 2020? What does it say about the Trump base? What does it say about the overall mood of the country? And I'll tell you, wherever you look, our informal surveys here, contrary to what the never-Trumpers want you to believe and some of the drive-by media, there's not nearly as much criticism and anger at Trump as they have tried to make you think there is among Trump supporters. In fact, we've got a couple people on hold here who are ecstatically happy the president did this. I'll let them speak for themselves when we get back and get to them. Hi, welcome back. There's one more soundbite from Trump an hour ago now, outside the Rose Garden, where he pointedly disagrees with Lindsey Graham. I can paraphrase it here, but I would just as soon play the whole thing for you in context. Also, the economic growth for the Chi-Coms has hit a 27-year low in the midst of trade war stings. Remember all those sages said that Trump would destroy our economy? Yeah. Hang on, folks. Don't go anywhere. Well, yeah, when you get a good cigar going, you don't want to put it down. And then I mean, when you get a good one, you get a good one, maybe one of every 10. I mean, it's a good one. The other 9 are acceptable, okay, really good. But when you get a really good one, you don't want to put it down. So I'm not putting it down. And we're back at it. Yet another hour of broadcast excellence straight ahead. Rush Limbaugh here at 800-282-2882. Email address lrushball@eibnet.us. Let me check some real quick here, folks. Okay, now, grab somebody number 27 Friday. This is the last Trump bite from about an hour ago at the White House in the Rose Garden, where he tripled down on his criticism of these members of Congress who, in his mind, don't like America. Here he is stating that he disagrees a bit with Lindsey Graham. Now, Lindsey Graham was on Fox today, was cautioning Trump, don't make it personal. Attack their policies. Don't make it personal. Do something, call them communists, call them socialists. I mean, Lindsey Graham ripped them to shreds, and he turned around and told Trump, don't do it personally. And here's Trump reacting to that.
I disagree with Lindsey. These are congressmen. What am I supposed to do? Just wait for senators? No. These are 4. So I disagree with Lindsey on that. That was the only thing. He said aim higher, shoot higher. What am I going to do? Wait till we get somebody else in a higher position, a higher office? These are people that hate our country. They hate our country. They hate it, I think, with a passion. Now, it's possible I'm wrong. The voter will decide. But when I hear the way they talk about our country, when I hear the anti-Semitic language they use, when I hear the hatred they have for Israel and the love they have for enemies like Al-Qaeda, then you know what? I will tell you that I do not believe this is good for the Democrat Party. Certainly it's not the party that I've known over the years.
Now, here's the thing, folks. This is why Trump, I think, knows what he's doing. Every time this woman, Ilhan Omar, has opened her mouth this year, every time, she has said something offensive, something insulting about America, about American allies, about Jews. She is a raging anti-Semite. Every time she has opened her mouth, you will think about this, you'll remember it. Every time she's opened her mouth and not a single rebuke. They tried to make excuses for her. Pelosi even said, well, it's different in the country she's from. Well, they do things differently. Everything they could to excuse her. They would not denounce her. They would not censor her. But now Pelosi is trying to get a full-fledged House censure of Trump because of his tweets. This is made to order. He's maneuvering Pelosi into defending these women who are on a total anti-American tirade. Trump is informing the American people who they are. Can you imagine the American people don't know anything about this and they read the president's tweets and they hear about it? What's he talking about? Who are these people? And they look and try to find out. Some of them will. They'll find out Ilhan Omar, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and they'll find out what these women are saying. And then they'll see that she was never censured. She was never criticized. The Democrat caucus, the Democrat leadership never held her to account, even with the anti-Semitism. Now they are censuring Trump. Put this together with the story from Axios about the internal Democrat poll of swing voters who totally disapprove of Cortez and Omar. 22% approval for Cortez, 8% for Omar, and 58% disapproval of socialism, or 68% disapproval of socialism. I think, contrary to what many of commentators out there, that Trump knows exactly what he's doing. Now, I have promised and alleged that, indicated that from the beginning of the program, and had a little segment here on some of the things these people have been saying. This is largely an expose of the internecine battle going on between Cortez and her squad and Pelosi. And there's some really, I'm not sure the American people know the full details of this. I think they may be aware that there's a little fight, little skirmish going on between these young upstart freshmen and Pelosi, the speaker, but they don't really know the extent of it because the drive-bys are covering it more as a humorous horse race with a potential downside, but they're not getting into details about it, and they are not being openly critical of anything that's happening because they just cannot bring themselves to criticize Democrats. But there are some things happening that are unprecedented, like the chief of staff of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is a rich trust fund kid living off the money of his parents, attacking the Speaker of the House in a tweet. This isn't done. Staff does not go after the Speaker. In most cases, the member doesn't go after the Speaker. But in this case, the staff, the chief of staff in this case, is attacking Pelosi. Now, here is, in no particular order, a story here from the Cameron Cawthorn is the writer. Omar questions the patriotism of American-born citizens. Freshman Representative Ilhan Omar, Democrat, Minnesota, on Saturday questioned the patriotism of American-born citizens, claiming, well, they probably love this country more than any. Claiming she probably loves this country more than anyone who is naturally born here. Were you aware that Omar had said this? You are, because you're following. You're aware. Are you nodding yes or no? Okay. So Omar is out there claiming that she loves this country more than anyone who is naturally born here. This was at the Netroots Nation conference. This is where the wacko radical left gets together for their gigantic annual circle, you know what. Omar participated in a foreign policy panel at Netroots Nation in Philadelphia. When she made her comments, she began her remarks by making light of her past anti-Semitic comments and the backlash that's resulted from them. Something that I get criticized for all the time. It's not what you think, so don't gasp. It is that I'm anti-American because I criticize the United States. I believe as an immigrant, I probably love this country more than anyone that is naturally born, and because I'm ashamed of it continuing to live in its hypocrisy. See? Making my point. America's flawed. You don't recognize it because you were born here and you're part of the problem. But she knows better. She's an immigrant. She knows what the imperfections are. She knows the racism and bigotry, and she's going to fix it because you don't recognize it. Wouldn't you want to make this woman the face of the Democrat Party? She went on to talk about how people ask her why she can't be more like an American, noting how it used to be a very positive thing. She said, "We export American exceptionalism, the great America, the land of liberty and justice. If you ask anybody walking on the side of the street somewhere in the middle of the world, they will tell you America the Great, but we don't live those values in America anymore. That hypocrisy is one that I am bothered by. I want America the Great to be America the Great." So, us natives, we don't know anything. We are living a lie. Here she is actually saying it in Philadelphia, audio soundbite number 8 at the Netroots Convention in 3, 2, 1.
Something that I get criticized for all the time, that I am anti-American because I criticize the United States. I believe as an immigrant, I probably love this country more than anyone that is naturally born. And because I am ashamed of it continuing to live in its hypocrisy, we export American exceptionalism, the great America, the land of liberty and justice. That is, if you ask anybody walking on the side of the street somewhere in the middle of the world, they will tell you America the Great. But we don't live those values here. And so that hypocrisy is one that I'm bothered by.
Well, she is an anti-Semite who hates Israel. There's too much love for Israel in this country. But this is my point made last hour, that these people believe America is a gigantic imperfection from day one, gigantically flawed from day one. You don't know it. You're born here. You can't possibly see it. It takes people like her who love America more than you do to fix it, to make it right. Folks, I'm going to interrupt myself here because I've got Andy McCarthy on the phone, and I just saw him on Fox. I sent him a quick note. If he had 5 minutes, I wanted to ask him something that's bugged me about this Epstein case since it started, and he got back to me. Andy, thanks much. I promise I won't take much of your time here.
Rush, it's a pleasure to take whatever part of my time you'd like.
Well, here we go. Now, Andy is a former prosecutor at the SDNY, Southern District of New York. By now, you all know the story. He was on the prosecuting team that convicted Blind Sheikh back in the early 90s. The Jeffrey Epstein case, I saw you on Fox a moment ago being questioned about this, and you had limited time. And I wanted to ask you about it because it's been something that's bothering me since this latest phase began that I don't understand, and I'm sure there's an explanation for it. The plea deal that gave him immunity from federal prosecution that he signed back in 2006 or 2008, how in the world can they bring him back on charges now, Andy? Are these new women? Is this something altogether new? I mean, to how far does this extend, this immunity, and why is this not double jeopardy for him?
Well, I think he's got a very strong double jeopardy argument, Rush, but I think factually what they're hoping for is that they can find some victims that they didn't already know about at the time of the deal. What they would really like is to find some victims outside the ambit of 2001 to 2007, because that's the period of time that's covered in the non-prosecution agreement. If they can find new victims outside that time, then those are new offenses and new crimes, and then they don't have a double jeopardy problem. I think if they find new victims who are just more of the same, I don't mean to belittle the offense, but I'm talking as a legal matter.
Right.
It's just more incidents of the same crimes or the same statutory offenses that they already gave him immunity for. I don't think that's good enough. I don't think they can prosecute him on that. So then the other thing they have, Rush, besides that factual problem, is this kind of cutesy legal argument that he only made this deal with the Southern District of Florida and that it doesn't bind any other federal district, and that this is just simply a contract matter, not really a Fifth Amendment.
Well, that's kind of crazy. Federal is federal.
I think so. Now, there's some authority in the Second Circuit, which is where the Southern District of New York is, for the proposition that a prosecutor's commitment in one district is not binding on another district. I think that is very thin ice to bring a case like this on. And I also think after looking at the Supreme Court's decision a couple of weeks ago or a few weeks ago in the Gamble case, which is the new dual sovereignty double jeopardy case, I see a lot of hostility on the court to the whole idea of bringing a second prosecution, even in a situation where it's two separate sovereigns. Here, the Southern District of New York and the Southern District of Florida may be two different venues, but they represent the same sovereign, the United States. So I think this really is covered by double jeopardy.
That's what fascinated me, because nobody has raised that until I saw you on TV about a half hour ago raising it. It makes all the sense in the world. And in the context of a bail hearing, it was supposed to be Thursday, moved to Friday, then supposed to be today. The judge has delayed it again. Epstein's team has offered a package of $77 million as guarantee that he won't flee. They've calculated, if what I've read is correct, that the closest they can come to his net worth or his wealth is $500 million. So losing $77 million to flee is not a big deal. What are the prospects in your experience that he's going to get bail?
I think he is going to get bail, Russ, and one of the reasons is this Fifth Amendment issue that we're discussing. In the usual case, when a defendant brings the usual array of pretrial motions, they get decided by the lower court, and you don't get to appeal those until after the case is over. So you get the pretrial motions handled in the district court, which is where the trial takes place. Then you have the trial or the plea or whatever, and then you start the appeals process. Double jeopardy is different because in double jeopardy, the constitutional offense is not just convicting or acquitting someone a second time. It's actually prosecuting
exactly.
a second time. So you actually, in a double jeopardy claim, you get to go up to the Supreme Court before they have a chance to try you. which means if he has a colorable double jeopardy claim, and I think he does, then he gets to go to the Supreme Court before they could try him, which really elongates the pretrial period. And I think a court's going to be very uncomfortable keeping him in custody that long.
All right, now, the Supreme Court, I saw you ask this question. I want to take my stab at it. I was frankly kind of embarrassed. The Supreme Court would not be deterred in taking the case from Epstein's lawyers simply because of the subject matter. Just because it's about smut doesn't mean they would reject it. They would reject it or accept it on the legal merits, right? Not so much what this is about.
Yeah, Rush, the Supreme Court takes cases involving an awful lot of monstrous people, and they don't look at the subject matter of the case involved, except to the extent you need to look at it to decide the case. But as far as the Supreme Court's concerned, this is a federal crime, and Epstein is presumed innocent until they convict him. So he has the full array of rights, and they have to treat it like they would treat any other federal crime, whether it was a murder case or a fraud case or a RICO case or a drug case, what have you. The fact that he's, he may be a monstrous person, which I'm fully prepared. In fact, he's, pled guilty to some of these acts in Florida. So, I'm fully prepared to say he ought to be drawn and quartered at high noon. But the fact is, the Supreme Court's got to give him his day in court. As far as they're concerned, it's a federal crime, and he's presumed innocent.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to call. This has been bothering me from the moment, Andy, I started hearing people say that he was toast. That
Rush,
it was jumping the gun on this, and it's something about. I was asking, how can they go after him again after they gave him immunity on this?
Rush, if you're bothered, that's what I'm here for.
Andy McCarthy, thanks very much, my man. We'll take a brief time out, be back here in just...
It's
Don't
new.
go away.
It's collectible.
Okay, I promise your phone calls are coming in the next half hour, but I've got a new soundbite. John Kasich is distressed. John Kasich is upset. John Kasich is troubled. John Kasich is bothered. John Kasich is hurt. John Kasich is concerned. They can call us all kinds of names. They can call us racist. They can call us sexist, bigots, homophobes. They can call us, they can besmirch us, they can impugn us, they can lie about us. And John Kasich talks about crossing the aisle to work with them. John Kasich will never condemn them. He's very, very, very troubled here.
I don't run around trying to call people communists and they're socialists and they hate America. You see, this is the road we're on. It's just that one thing leads to another. It started in Charlottesville, and all the time, and the language becomes more and more acceptable. We become immune. This name calling, where does it leave us at the end? We're losing a little piece of our soul every time we stand back and allow this kind of rhetoric and division and anger to be announced without people pushing back saying, all right, that's enough, knock it off.
So, seriously, Mr. Kasich, all he did was call them communists and socialists. Some of them are very proud to be socialists. Communists and socialists are somehow dirty names? As I say, they can call us and have been calling us for decades. All kinds of filthy names. And lying about us at the same time. And never was there any concern. Well, at least not in the last 15 or 20 years recently has there been any concern. We're losing our soul every time we allow this kind of rhetoric, but we don't lose our soul when they mischaracterize us. What did Trump say? He called them socialists. He called them communists. Well, Lindsey Graham did that. Trump backed off on the comment. I don't go that far, Lindsey, but... See what a one-way street this is and always has been. And it's only when we push back that we get criticized by people ostensibly on our side. By the way, Kasich was on CNN when he made those comments. We are where we are because people like Kasich have not pushed back ever for I don't know how long. And it illustrates once again why Trump is president and why his support is continuing to grow is because he's the only one taking the lead on this stuff, pushing back against these people who intend our country harm. Why not push back on that? Why do we have to respect opposing points of views and be gentlemanly about it when they're trying to undercut the very foundation and fabric of what the country is? We don't have time to worry about whether some people understand it or not. They have to be shown. That's what Trump is doing. He does a great job, I think, of illustrating who these people are. And he's doing it, as usual, within the elected class. He's doing it alone. Folks, this is the time of year when a lot of families take vacations. It's also the time of year when the highest number of home burglaries take place because there are more people on vacation and not home. No coincidence there, in fact. A home left unprotected is the easiest target for a burglar, and it's not hard to learn whether somebody's home or not. It's not hard to case a joint and figure out what the arrival and departure plans and habits are. One of our listeners in Tulsa took our advice and installed a Simply Safe home security system to protect their home when they left it. And they told the Simply Safe customer service team one afternoon they got a call from the 24/7 monitoring team. See, if you get monitoring here, that means somebody's watching for you. And whenever there's any kind of an alert, any kind of a break-in alarm, something triggers one of the sensors, Simply Safe's monitoring people get a call and are alerted to the problem. And that's what happened here. It was a report of a break-in in progress. Within seconds, the 24/7 monitoring team at Simply Safe had notified the cops. The Tulsa Police Department did what they do best. They showed up within 5 minutes. The bottom line is that a couple of convicted felons are headed back to prison, and the stolen car they were using went back to its rightful owner. All because the homeowner had a Simply Safe home security system installed. Simply Safe's system protects every door, every window, and every room with a wireless system that the bad guys cannot deactivate by cutting a wire. That all connects to a 24/7 monitoring team that responds quickly. The monitoring starts at $15 a month. It's available without any long-term contracts or commitments, which is unique to this business. Most other places make you sign a contract for 2 years on the monitoring and may charge as much as $50 a month. Now, if you have the video certification or verification technology with their HD cameras, police are able to visually confirm break-ins and get to your home faster than other security companies. Video verification technology is within the HD cameras, one of which you get free right now if you order a system from Simply Safe. It's a $100 value. Go to simplysafeusa.com. That website's just for you. There's no offer code needed. That'll handle it. Website alone. Free shipping. And get this, a 60-day money-back guarantee as well. Meaning you get it, you put it in, and usually you get 2 months to judge it, to test it, to determine whether or not it's worth what you spend on it. And if not, send it back, and they'll refund everything. Return rates so small you need a telescope to see it. SimplySafeUSA.com. Brooksville, Florida. Ron, you're next. Great that you waited. Welcome to the program, sir.
Hey, it's a privilege to talk to you. But you're right about what you was saying. Senator Collins has already made an announcement that she is against Trump for coming out against these people in Congress, that he's doing this, being insulting to the members of Congress. Yes, these 4 people are leading the Democrat Party, I hope, to hell. But and wouldn't be surprised within the hour Mitt Romney will come out with a comment condemning Trump for his remarks today. And as you already said, the ex-governor of Ohio, he's already very unhappy. But none of these people stand up. You're absolutely right.
They never stand up when we are being assaulted and attacked. But this is not an attack by Trump. This is simply the elucidation of truth. These people are out there ripping this country every day. We played you the sound bites of Ilhan Omar. You people in America, you do not know how to make this a great country because you were born here and you take it for granted. It takes an outsider like her to come in here and perfect this country. And I'm telling you, they don't like the country. Look, I don't want to be a broken record here. You know what I think about this. You know the drill and what's going on and what the Democrat Party has become. They don't like America as founded because it stands in the way of the America they want. And I'm telling you, folks, at the center of this is this entire immigration fiasco. Do not discount, do not take seriously the point that I'm making about their objective here in obliterating the concept of citizenship. It's not just a project that globalists have for the United States. It is a worldwide project. Look, they know it's going to take a long time. This is nothing that somebody's going to try to implement tomorrow, but we're in the middle of it. And it does take so long, and it winds its way slowly here that people don't realize what's going on because they get distracted by the immediacy of the problem, which today is an invasion of people at the southern border. Why it's happening, who cares? We just have to stop it. But once people succeed in obliterating the concept of citizenship, well, then you can easily say there's no need for borders because you are where you are. If you're in America, you're an American, regardless what you believe. You could be the biggest supporter of the Soviet Union and criminalizing communism and still be called an American simply because you're in America, not because you have any citizenship or any ties to it whatsoever. America stands in the way of what worldwide socialists are dreaming of. It has to be done something about. America has to be taken down a peg or two. Now, some people, when I mention this, Rush, don't these people realize they would be destroying the economic engine of the world? They don't look at it that way. They can look at any of them. They assume that the wealth is going to remain. They don't look at socialism as, they don't see it as it is. They don't see it as some destructive force. They see it as something that's wonderful perfection that hasn't been done right yet, despite all the evidence. I'm glad you called, Ron. Thanks much. Here's Robert in Wallingford, Connecticut. You're next on the phones on the EIB network. Hello.
Rush, honor and a privilege to talk to you. Observation for you. My mom, every time I walk into her house, always got CNN on, every TV, every room. And for the last 2 years, I've been listening to her just rattling off the CNN talking points. But in the last couple of months, I've noticed something a little different. She's not saying anything when I walk in. I said, Mom, what did President Trump do now? And she goes, they have to stop doing this. I said, stop doing what? I said, these people, they just pick on this guy all day long, all night. Rush, they are wearing down their own viewers. They're going to turn this guy into a victim, which is great. And I'm not talking about the far left because they're done. And I'm not talking about the Trump supporters because the Trump supporters will walk through a gauntlet of baseball bats to vote for him. But I'm talking about the center lefts and the center rights. And it's happening from the ground up. And I was just got to have this big aha moment. I had to call and tell you about it.
Well, you know, I hope you're right because I've been waiting for something. I watch CNN every day here. And I will share with you, I ask myself a variation of your mom's question every day. Because every day, it never lets up. It has been going on since the campaign of 2016, and it never lessens in intensity. It never changes in focus. It is as irrational as it has always been. And I ask myself, is there going to come a point where the everyday habitual CNN viewer, however few there are, regardless of that, is there going to be a day when they finally wake up and say, is there anything else happening today other than you don't like Donald Trump? I've asked myself, how long can their viewers put up with it? Now, it's not readily answerable because it could well be that many of their viewers are seeking exactly that. I think in the case of PMS NBC, it is exactly that. That network had its audience convinced that Trump was going to jail. that Trump had stolen the election, that Trump was a traitor, that Trump had colluded personally with Vladimir Putin to steal the election from Hillary. And everybody on the air at MSNBC was assuring that audience all day, every day, for over 2.5 years that Trump was toast and that Mueller was going to be the person that did it. And then the Mueller report comes, despite all the news throughout the 2.5 years, there was never any evidence that the Steele dossier was fake, that the FBI never had anything but the Steele dossier, that there was never any evidence. None of that ever made it on the air at MSNBC. That audience, and CNN's as well, completely ignorant of at least 90% of the story. 90% of the story was kept from the viewers of those two networks and the readers of the New York Times. So Mueller report comes out, no collusion and no obstruction, and the MSNBC audience dropped over time by 50%. Because they couldn't, they had been lied to. They had been led down the primrose path. They had been promised that Trump was gone. Trump was not just gone. He was going to go to jail, maybe be executed. This guy was going to be treated in such a way that all of their dreams are going to be met. Then the whole thing blows up. And since they can't get that anymore from MSNBC, they don't watch. Don't know where they went, don't know what they're watching now, but they're gone. Their audience has been halved. And it continues to lose. The network continues to lose audience. So, and CNN has much less audience than MSNBC did. And so I've been asking myself at some point, when do these people that watch this stuff every day reach their limit? My theory with human nature has to take over here at some point. Some of these people are going to have to wake up and say, wait a minute. Because some of it's so over the top that it becomes comical. You could write skits about Trump got up, toothpaste tube was empty, Trump throws it at sink, breaks sink window, whatever, mirror, and they would go nuts with it. But with that kind of silly stuff, that's how desperate they were to find anything negative on Trump, because in reality, nothing negative really happened or existed. So I hope your mother is an indication of this. And I think she is. That's human nature is human nature. It's undeniable. And people's emotional reservoirs only capable of holding so much anyway before boredom and exasperation set in. The timing could not be better for people to all of a sudden start realizing that they're not watching news on CNN or MSNBC. They're watching something entirely different, and they're being lied to in the process.
Rush.
Say, can you guys tell that I'm a little depressed and disappointed today? You can't? Good. That's a testament to my highly trained professionalism. Talented professionalism. Nothing trained about it. Hey, folks, the more connected devices that you install in your home, the more opportunities there are for cyber thieves to gain access to your personal data. Stands to reason, right? More opportunities for people to invade your device, invade your connection. More homes these days have cameras on their doorbells, streaming video devices, and objects like HomePods and Echo devices. Alexa is listening to everybody in your house all the time. Some of those devices are better made to withstand a hack attempt than others are. But the cheap cameras in particular give bad guys the easiest cyber access to all of your data. And when your data gets stolen, even a little bit of it, that's all one of these cyber thieves need to steal your online identity. But genuine identity theft is a disaster. I'm talking things above and beyond just credit card fraud. If somebody gets a hold of your identity and able to open bank accounts as you and get new credit cards as you, that is an absolute disaster. You don't want that to happen. Protect yourself with LifeLock. They are the leading provider of online identity theft protection. And even if your home is not full of connected devices, it's nevertheless important to protect your online identity because there are so many data breaches happening these days. And LifeLock continually monitors the entire internet for evidence that their member's identity has ended up in the wrong hands. They have unique programming techniques, algorithms, and so forth to be able to determine when your online profile differs greatly from normal. And that's when you hear from them, asking if you are spending differently, opening bank accounts that you don't usually open, that kind of thing. Now, no one company can prevent all identity theft, but folks, there is nobody that even gets close to protecting you like LifeLock does. It's the one company you can rely on to provide you the most comprehensive set of services to assist you in protecting and restoring your identity. Sign up at lifelock.com or 800-440-4833. As always, my name is worth 10% off the cost of the plan that you choose. lifelock.com or 800-440-4833. I'm being admonished for saying that I was disappointed and depressed today, that I shouldn't say stuff like that because it's upsetting to the audience. Look, folks, I'm just bummed out that there's not a new Apple beta today. It's been 2 weeks. I was expecting one. I was so confident I told people that today would be the day. And it only matters because we're all waiting for one that's stable to put our primary devices on. Other than that, I'm fine. I'm always fine. Better than ever.